And so it begins. According to the website, it takes 1.5 quarts. Let's see how correct my new dipstick is once we get this done. There's 1 quart down. And I'm going to take a chance and I'm just going to dump another 1/2 quart right in there and then we'll check it. How's that sound? Now, I need one of you guys to do some sound effects here. You know, because isn't it true that normally when you pour oil into something or some other liquid, doesn't it usually go like this? Glug, 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 glug. Got more to go. We're going to call that pretty close right there. Now we'll pull out the funnel. And see what it says with a dipstick. And as always, somebody's always calling me. Okay, here's the big test. Dipstick going down in. All the way seated, pull it out. That ain't right. It ain't even close to being right. It says it's just barely on the end of the dipstick. Is it leaking out somewhere? Oh man, I'm sure I cut it right. And I mean, that thing is going to go way down into that tank. I know it's cool in here, so it might take a little bit of dribbling down. I don't know. That ain't even close to being right. It's just barely showing on the end of the dipstick. Well, I guess we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Hold on to your hats. Okay, here we go now. You follow the linkage. Here's our pedal down here. Yeah. You see the spring working right there. Yeah. You see it pulling the lever there. Yeah. And then you see it moving the lever over there. Yeah. And over on the other side, if you can see way over there. Yeah. Now watch that one. Same thing. Notice it's going back all the way against the stop. And when I put the pedal down, it goes all the way up underneath, just like that. So we got full throttle and we got idle. Yeah. And our linkage over here is a whole lot simpler than it was before with all that goofiness I had going on with the wrenches. Okay, it's tacked in place. Now let's try it on the Goofy cart. I got both of them tacked, and the issue is we have to find clearance for the throttle linkage, and we have to find clearance for the firewall, and because the engine is opposed, it is not symmetrical front to back as far as placement of things. So we're going to try and make it look rather symmetrical, even though it's not symmetrical. So hold on to your hats is where you go. This is the easy side. Now remember that. This is the easy side. The tightest clearance issue we have here is with our throttle linkage right there. Okay, so here's the issue over here. It will go down in there, and I finagled a screw in there just to hold it in place so it don't swing around on us like I did on the other side. And I'm going to do some shaky cam work here. You can see that I have managed to get clearance for my throttle return spring right here. Which is my throttle linkage is all gobbledygooked up now because I had to move it around to get these in there. And this is the problem I have. I get one thing set and another thing moves. And so, yeah. So that's this way. And you notice how close we are. We're actually going past the firewall over the cowl. Let me step around here. Now, you'll notice that the one on the left side is lower than the one on the right side. Yeah, see that? This is part of the issue. But what we're going to do now, admittedly, this elbow here is higher up. And we're right up against, let me get you over there. We're right up against the throttle linkage here, which is part of the issue with why the return spring isn't working, the throttle linkage isn't working. These are all the things you have to take in consideration, and we've got to get exhaust on this thing before we can start it. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut these right off square right here, and then we'll extend it out further and run it up at an angle, because more or less those square parts, this part down in here, is in a similar location. So I'm going to bring it back, I'm going to cut them off, and we're going to try fitting up some more pieces. Now I want to tell you, I've been working on this exhaust several days trying to get it to work. What do you think of them apples? Huh? That just might work. Chrome, stainless steel mufflers. Woo-hoo! So we cut those pieces off, and I have these cutoffs from a bicycle front fork. Obviously I'm going to have to cut this out of there unless I was going to run it with straight pipe. That would act as a baffle to a certain extent. These are going to come off of there, obviously. But it looks like they're pretty close to being at the same angle and more or less the same distance away. Well, y'all probably wondering, when is George finally going to start that engine? Well, before I started it, I had to have exhaust, and this is what I've been working on. I've had all kinds of parts and pieces. You saw the pipe threaded pieces and elbows, and I cut this off of the sweet tea. Thought I was going to use that up in here, but it wasn't enough of a bend. This got cut off of an old rototiller. That's just parts and pieces. That didn't work. I had this elbow here. It was close, but it didn't work. So what we have here, this part here, this is original. No, that's not original. That's part of an exhaust from another engine that I had, and there's parts and pieces of it over there. I'll show you. This comes here. The only original part of the exhaust is the flange down here. This elbow here is actually from a mobility scooter, part of the frame that I cut up so I could get the right angle here. This here is yeah, it's a girl's bicycle front fork. And I have the other side of it on the other side. And I used it to get this bend here. And then we have these nice stainless steel mufflers. Can't wait to hear them work. So that's the exhaust over here. And every time I moved exhaust around, I had to mess with the throttle linkage. I ended up having to bend this down in here. I think we've got it where it's going to be now. We have the exhaust pretty much where it has to be. And you'll see I had to snake around in here. This is the same exhaust piece of pipe that I started off with over there. I actually did this side first because I had more clearance issues here with my throttle linkage. And you can see how close it is here and how close it is right there. We got about 1/2 inch. So use that, and then this elbow and this elbow were the flange pieces. And I brought it forward because I had to get it forward enough so it was close to the other side, because I wanted it to come down and I wanted to exit down here below our foot pad. So we have lots of room over here with our throttle linkage. You know, no problem hitting your foot there. And we actually have pretty good room on the other side with our brake pedal. And if I had to, I could raise the brake pedal up a little bit, but it doesn't move much. That's the main amount right there. So the closest we're going to get is probably 3/4 inch. That's why I have these are water shoes. I have these water shoes on here for testing for fitment, you know. And so, yeah, we started out, came here, this piece here, I already told you is from that mobility scooter, and then this fork piece here, and then our muffler. So our exhaust is now done. Well, it's all roughed into place. I got to finish welding it, and then I got to sandblast the whole thing, and then I'm going to paint it with high temperature paint. It'll be silver, flame proof VHT, very high temperature. And notice it's got a picture of headers. It's called header paint, silica ceramic coating. That's what we're going to have on our headers. We've got our starter all installed. We got our throttle linkage. I had to make a modification for my right angle drive because part of the mount for the engine actually stuck into the hole. So I had to grind that out a little bit. But that's going to work. We've got clearance. Barely got clearance. And I have to do a little bit of modification right here to my gas pedal, because when the body is just sitting on here, but when the body wants to be bolted in place, it's right up against it. So I'm going to have to slide the body back and relieve this part of this throttle pedal. You see what that throttle pedal is, don't you? Yeah, it's a modified crank from an old wood stove. Yep. So, and I think I'll have a video clip. I had to modify my dipstick because I hadn't cut it short enough. We've got oil in the motor now. Takes 1.5 quarts. We've got our new coil in place. Yeah, we're about ready to go. And I do have a cap that will go on here like that to cover that. And you won't hardly see it anyway because with a grill on there and expanded metal, and that matches, and it's made from the same thing that these caps are made from that go on our rear wheels. And I've got to clean the silicone off of there because I put them on and I stick silicone in there to keep them from sliding off. I'm an old guy, you know, and I work slow, but I got to tell you, this exhaust system has probably I've probably done I've probably got about 20 hours in this exhaust system trying to figure out how it was going to work, and I was, like I said, I was trying to do it with those things down there. That wasn't going to happen, and this was the biggest headache right here because of our throttle linkage. So yep, got to make a new firewall to fit this engine. So there's where we're at. I do hope that the next video I'll be starting the engine again in its final place. So that's where we're at. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, thumbs up, sharing, all them good things. Thanks for following along. This is George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man. Bye for now. She's all tucked in. Andrew and I got the last window in yesterday. Now the next thing is the deck and the doors.